Now what?
Yep.
Let's see.
There we go. Hey,
Oh.
good morning, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
As you can see, we've got two new crazy guys on here. Eric is out on a much needed vacation doing dad stuff. He is taking his kids. We can't say the location. I think it involves a mouse or maybe a mouse's cousin. I don't know, but he's out there having fun. But thank you for everyone for tuning in. We got myself, DeWayne Ward, pissed off parent, and Robert Garza there to my right or left, depending upon who we're talking to. Mr. Robert Garza, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great.
All right,
just
awesome.
filling in for Eric this morning. I hope he's having fun wherever he's at.
Oh yeah, we can't. It's an undisclosed location, right. Top secret, private. We don't want all of his fans coming out. Of course, you know what? He's probably got his T-shirt on. Dad Talk today. He's got his mug, which I don't have mine yet. Eric had sent out to some different folks that bought them, and for other thank yous and things like that, because he's a giving guy. Mugs or the famous tumblers, and he's probably sporting that and probably talking to everybody. We got to get him off the phone or whatever. But we want to thank everybody for joining in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Hit the bell, do the subscriptions, drink your Ovaltine. Let's see. I'm trying to think of all the things that they all need to be doing here. Well, it really is just like, share, subscribe, comment. That's the whole other thing. We have got to get the red pill out there for everyone to take. We can talk about whatever. We have actually a few items to talk about, all kinds of stuff. But what I wanted to do was kind of open it up to the comment line, see what we got here. Actually, let's see who's in here. We got Larry, longtime listener, longtime commenter. We got Deborah, Wanda. Actually, I probably need to pull everybody's thing in here. And again, there's going to be a couple glitches. We don't have the same, or at least I don't have the same flair that Eric does, pulling all the stuff in here. He is being behind all this really, it really teaches you a lot about just how much work goes in behind, and he makes it effortless. Hey, got a good morning to DeWayne and Rob. All right, so we're getting some street cred. So Robert, any plans for the weekend? What's going on in your world?
My daughters are with me this weekend. One's asleep. The other one I took to robotics class at 5 a.m. this morning. So yeah, right. They're making robots and they're competing today. So
that is awesome. Great. Okay, so robotics. I mean, we're going to go way off the rails here, but robotics. Is it like, am I thinking like Robotron kind of stuff, or is it?
You've seen the Robot Wars, right? Where they make these robots and they fight each other. But they don't fight each other, she said. So she's like, they just move them around, make the coolest robots. They judge them. They wave. I don't know, but yeah. But they're there all day.
That's cool. I mean, is that part of the STEM thing where they do they teach them all the sciencey stuff and get them all ready for the world, and teach them how to Terminator? Is like Terminator daughter's favorite show, or?
Nah, she likes action movies, but the robotic stuff's pretty cool. And she's in wrestling. She actually got
wrestling.
She loves wrestling. She's a beast.
Oh wow! Like, where is she at? Like, is she in the middle school, high school, competitive? She doing
middle school.
Middle school. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So all that, I remember doing that stuff back in grade school. I like to try that again, but it will not end up well for me. I'm too old for that stuff. But wow.
They get in there and they hit it. They hit it pretty hard. It's pretty interesting. It's funny. I told her a story because I want to say something, but I don't want to say too much. So the other day she was sitting here and we're about to go to the competition, and I was like, you know what? You need to get in there like you're the third monkey on the ark. And she was just like, what? And she was like, there was only 2 allowed on the ark. I was like, exactly. You're the third. Get in there and take someone out. And she was like, oh, okay, I get it. So when she went to go wrestle, I don't even have to say anything. I'm just like,
okay.
And then when she won, she was just like, me too. So it was funny.
Or like flashing gang signs. So actually, Deborah had a question, different opportunity or comment here. Different opportunities kids have today is cool, awesome on her wrestling. So you got yeah, some added girls there. Thinking about that, like the difference. I mean, I'm 50. You look about in your early 20s, mid 20s. Is that about
47, 46,
47,
46.
46? Oh my gosh. Okay. So the warranty is getting ready to expire on you. Okay. All the things are going to start breaking on you. Well, once you hit 50, that's when all that fun stuff happens. So opportunities that we had that we didn't have as kids, that ones that they have now, that's one of the big changes. And then of course, pulling this into dad talk, when I was a kid, all I had was football, and I was a band nerd. If it wasn't already obvious, that was kind of like the two. You had some sports, and then you had music, and that was kind of. And well, I took martial arts. My dad actually sacrificed quite a bit to get me into martial arts classes. So thanks, Dad, for doing that for me. But like what. I mean, my kids are mostly grown now, and they had computer class and stuff like that. But it sounds like your daughter is taking advantage of a lot of the opportunities. What kind of stuff? So, she's in middle school, so she's a little bit younger. What kind of opportunities are out there now for like dads and their kids, and
Oh,
see, or what are some cool things there?
yeah. So any parents, as long as you don't have a protective order, restraining order on you, you can actually go to the school. I went to the school a lot. We have a program here called Watchdog Dads, and my girls loved it. I would go in, go to each class with them. You can go half a day, you can go a couple of periods, but you basically follow them from each class to each class. So you get time with not only them on the other parents' time, but
Hmm.
also you get to meet their peers. And that's what stops a lot of the alienation too, because if they think dad's cool, which they always do, you're a cool dad. You're at the school with them. It's a parent, so they want to kind of have that relationship with you. Their friends do,
Hmm.
and so it makes them look up to you even more. So it kind of stops a lot of that alienation going on.
Yeah, actually, remind me. Back when I was going through my little reign of fun there, I had the opportunity. I mean, again, everyone's job's different, but I did have the opportunity to spend time at my kids' school. I've always been a real weird. I'm always involved in my kids' lives. But I remember going to my youngest sons. I think it was in second or third grade. And this is right when I guess the Marvel stuff kind of started and all that stuff. And some little kid asked me, he goes, "Are you Tony Stark?" I tell you, man, when he said that, and again, just to give everybody, because everyone's like, really? He looks like Tony Stark. Back when I was going through my shenanigans, I lost about 60 to 80 pounds. I wasn't gray haired and all that. So I did look a little bit different. So I could have pulled the Tony Stark off a little bit better. But yeah, it was my heart grew three times the size that day. It was something else. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, we have all these involved dads, all these parents that are, have that opportunity. And I remember, and again, not going to turn this into the Texas show, but again, a lot of the information that we have is from Texas. We had a father out, and I won't say where, partly because I can't remember, but we had a father that was turned away trying to have lunch with his son. I'll say his first name, and you'll probably know I'm talking about Josh.
Mhm.
And his the school, for whatever reason, I think and there was no protective orders, there was no weird things, but he was actually turned away from having lunch with his, I think it was a elementary, I think like a first or second grade, his kids. And it ticked him off so much that he actually was instrumental, or he himself got the law changed to where we have now the lunch bill, or I can't remember what it's the specific name of
Mhm.
the bill.
School
uh,
lunch.
the school lunch bill. There we go. And basically made it a Texas law to where parents, absent a protective order or any other weird shenanigans there, if they were otherwise allowed to come to the school, they by law were allowed to have lunch with their kid. And that was just one of those times where, a dad saw something wrong and went through the legislative area. And again, we all have our challenges there, lots to say about our legislative world, but we're able to successfully change that law, and was then able to finally have lunch with his kids. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know if you remember. I'm sure. Well, actually, you were involved. I think. I mean,
So, well, not with that bill,
mhm.
but I know the person you're talking about in the bill
Yeah.
and everything. But a lot of people, don't know, like all you dads and moms out there that don't know if the other parent has exclusive rights to the school, that just means that they can pick the school. That has nothing to do with whether you can go up there, whether you can talk to the teachers, none of that. You have parental rights from the state that allows you to go in to talk to the teachers and talk to the principals. Now, a lot of people don't know law. So when you're talking to these principals and stuff that have never been met with something like that, they're like, oh, well, mom told us that she has exclusive rights and you can't come here or whatever. That's not how that works. So if that ever happens, come into our support group, contact me or whatever, but I can help you show principals and the staff how that reads, and that's not the case. So the only thing exclusive school rights gives them is to pick the school. That is it. We're not lawyers, just so you know. Let me clarify that. You're going to hear us say a lot of stuff, but that's from personal experience because mine tried to ban me from, school and stuff like that. But you have parental rights that you can have access to the teachers, to their schoolwork, to their grades, all that stuff. And to be put in an emergency contact. If they have exclusive, they can still not keep you from putting your own name on the emergency contact list.
Yeah, and as we know, as we go through life's little challenges and trials, that the exes will do things like try to prevent you from being on the emergency contact forms and all that. And it's really incumbent upon you, and I put the generic you, to really fight. And I know it shouldn't be that way, but to fight to stay in your children's lives. Again, not lawyers. Actually, I also wanted to plug the Dad Talk Today support group. Robert, you're the main guy. There's a team, but you have done a lot of work in that support group, and this is where they can ask their questions. Sounds like you have one specifically here where if you're having issues, seeing your kids at school for that reason, get into that support group. It's free. It's on Facebook only. But it's an area you can go to, and it's not just the school lunch or the lunch situation or schools. If you're having challenges, if you're at that low point, there are people. How many members are in the support group?
I think about 20. I think last time I looked, 28,000, somewhere around there.
28,000. Okay, so you got 28,000 people that are in various stages of their journey, and you can go in there, ask your questions, be respectful. But you can ask questions and get answers from people that have been there. Robert, how many people have you helped on probably the lunch issue alone? It sounds like that wasn't like a first little idea you came up with.
No. So there's all kinds of things. We have people in there. We have some therapists in there that are donating their time. If someone's going through something, they'll pop in and donate some of their time. We have lawyers every now and then that pop in, or if there's something that, somebody doesn't know, more than likely someone else in there has been through it. Or if you go in there pro se or something like that and you need some help, there's a lot of people that have went through their cases pro se. And if you need briefs or anything like that, they can, give what they've already done to you.
Okay. I went ahead and I was trying to scan some of the, I'm going to have to thank Eric I don't know what I'm going to do with Eric when he gets back. Him coordinating a lot of this. I'm like the fanboy that gets to show up and have fun on the show. And, seeing all the stuff that he does is giving me a newfound respect for Eric. Don't tell him that. But I've got a question here from Ron McLaughlin, and I'm going to try to use first names. One, because, you don't want exes to do weird stuff. Two, I screw up names all the time, so I'm going to try to, I don't want to have someone go, God, the guy, he said my name wrong. But asking the question here, is this federal law? Because in Maryland, where I'm assuming he's not from, just for the lawyers out there, we have joint legal custody, and even says in my order that I can go to school events, but the principal says that I need to have mom's permission because this counts as a visitation day.
No, school is public, and you can even, think about it this way, Ronald. I'm sitting here looking up Maryland laws. Sorry, I'm sitting here trying to minimize my screen because I can't really see the top of the tab. But you can look up parental rights for Maryland, and you can just Google it, and you'll find it. But if you can't, contact me, and I'll show you where that is. But just ask the principal a simple question. Just be like, hey. Can anybody volunteer at the school? principal's going to say yes, as long as they pass a background check. Now, go pass a background check first. Whatever the school has, most of them, you really have to pass a background check to even be there or
It makes
whatever else.
sense.
But do that first, then go raise the question, hey, can't anyone just volunteer? Doesn't matter if they have a child or not. And the principal's going to say yes. Say, what's the difference then? But that's just to argue that rule. But if you Google Maryland parental rights, you'll see it in there. And if you can't, just contact me.
Okay. Yeah. And actually, it's a good idea anyway to get involved in your schools, because they're the ones they spend the most time with your kids. I mean,
Yep.
at the end of the day, they're the influence you had mentioned earlier about, when you go there and spend time, you get to meet your kids' friends and peers. So when they talk about Johnny or Sally or whatever, you know exactly what's going on, and you're, more involved. But yeah, passing the background check, I would say, and again, it makes sense across the board. It's not anything, we're not picking on Robert,
Not against
Dwayne,
you.
Ron, Joe.
Yeah.
I personally, as a dad, would want to make sure any adult going to the school that my children go to passes a background check. I mean, that would be common sense. But yeah, you should do that. Get involved in your PTA. They have the dogs I mean, every place has their own the dad dogs.
Watchdog dads.
Yeah, watchdog dags. They have all these different groups, and that's a way to get involved and be able to spend time with their kids, and of course document it for future things. We got Joe, who's a longtime supporter, good friend of mine, and yours. I mean, he's very involved, but he's offering another perspective. Not saying to go there. I also wanted to point out Joe is one of our. I believe he's on YouTube. You can actually sign up and become a member. You get that little squiggly there next to your name. I have no idea what that is. I'm too old to even understand it, but that is if you become a supporter, I think it's $5 a month. Was it a cup of coffees? Actually, is it like a Happy Meal now? I don't know, with all the inflation that we have, but that's a way to support the channel. But yeah, this is something, going back to Ron's original statement, I would definitely fight that. Robert's giving you some great advice. If you're still having questions, jump into that support group. That's why it's there. And again, it's free for everybody, and you can get some assistance. Actually, Robert, you'd mentioned you got some therapists that are doing, I don't know if it's pro bono on the therapy. I don't know. But
some of them do. If you're going through something, they're like, hey, here's my number, contact me, or give them my number. I'll do an hour free session, something like that, just so they can get them off the edge or whatever. But back to the school, I've contacted schools myself in behalf of fathers to educate them on what the law is, and for them to check with their attorneys. Once that happens, they're in. So if you can't do it, you contact me. We'll call them three-way. We'll set up an appointment with them. And I'm telling you, does it apply to homeschool? No. You are not allowed at the other person's house. I mean, that's just me, but I wouldn't even chance it. I wouldn't talk about it. It sucks, especially, remember, they have the exclusive right, if they have it, to pick the school. If they want to homeschool them,
yeah, you're kind of stuck there. That's why it's so important during mediation or doing your case. I mean, 10 cents of free advice here. But when you go and get your temporary orders, those 90% of the time become the permanent ones. So up front, and your attorney's usually going to tell you, oh, we'll get it in the end. We all know how that goes. Well, get it in the end, haha. But up front, when when you're talking and negotiating the upfront stuff, do not accept first, third, and fifth weekends. Don't accept, because because again, these judges see these things a million times, and even if they aren't they're not financially being incentivized, they just want to get their job done, move on to the next case. So if they see that this temporary order that's been, quote, working for the last 3 months or 6 months or a year or however long you've been doing it, is working, they're going to just blanket sign off on it, and then you're stuck. And don't rely on your attorney to do all these things. This is where you do your homework and your research. And if you're concerned about spending time with the kids at school, that's where you write that in, and then talk about who has priority right. All those little things. Understand that these attorneys, they're aggressively fighting for their clients, and they're gonna wiggle in every little thing they can, and they'll say words like oh yeah, we'll just have exclusive right. Well, that's no big deal, because Sally will never move. We just actually had a article. Let's try to throw up on the screen here. Hopefully all my other messages won't pop up. I'm going to present. Hope you
Well,
don't
they'll
mind.
purposely, a bunch of the bigger law firms will purposely throw words in there so you do have an argument. Let's just say, Thanksgivings and whatever else, or spring breaks. They'll throw in some terminology in there that you don't really understand,
Hmm.
but it's kind of a gray area for both. And sometimes there'll be conflicting. It'll be what's it called? Conflicting. It'll say the same thing twice on
Right.
both people. So then it conflicts itself. So then you end up arguing, coming back to court, more money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They'll put those little contradictions, I think, is what you're looking
Yeah,
for.
contradict itself.
Um,
Yeah,
there,
contradict itself.
and then, oh my God, we've got to go back to court. Oh my gosh, we got to get two attorneys. Oh my God, we got to have more conflict. Again, they've been doing these divorces for, let's just say they've been in the business for 10, 20, 30 years. They know what they're doing. They know, I mean, how many times do you have to, like, stab or, hit the hammer on your thumb before you go, I'm not going to put my thumb there. They know, but they go, I know that I can make an extra 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever $1,000 off this little innocent mistake, and then keep pulling it back in, because you're going to continue to fight over your kids, especially like when he gets a new main squeeze or she gets a new main squeeze, or life happens. Yeah. Trying to keep my comments G-rated, kind of PG. But I did want to talk about a case. Actually, it's overseas. I didn't get a whole lot of detail, but again, there's so and again, thanks everybody for their comments, making this work. We got see Sabrina. Let's see, Williams. It was my oldest bio son. Sports was not his thing. It was computer geek. Find some way you can connect with him on it, even if you learn how to play video games. Yeah, some of the comments that were in there were talking about how to motivate young boys. Unfortunately, I mean, back in my day, back in the 70s and 80s, I was a latchkey kid. With my own challenges, but it was basically, at 7 a.m. you're booted out the door and you got to go play all day. And if it was nature's way of thinning out the herd if you didn't come home. So it wasn't a big deal. But today, and I, experience with my kids, I'm sure, well, it sounds like you have an experience with yours. They're involved in a lot of stuff. But Robert, do you have any ideas for like motivating young men? And we'll include the
I
daughters
do.
here. But what are some ways to
Um,
motivate them?
Some of my when I was raising my younger girls, the biggest thing with that I did was give them choices. And
Ah,
so it's not so much motivation, but let me tell you this, because this is a secret that you will use all the way up into their teens.
get your notepads
So
out.
so I gave them choices, and they're super strong, opinionated. They will talk to a grown up and not have like they're a grown up, right?
Right.
So like if I wanted them to clean their room, I'd be like, okay, you can choose to keep your iPad and clean your room, or you can choose not to clean your room and not have your iPad.
Okay.
That puts the burden on them and it makes them accountable for their own decisions. But if you did it the other way and say, hey, if you don't clean your room, I'm going to take your iPad, they're mad at you. Those little changes of words that you can choose to clean your room and keep your iPad, or you can choose not to clean your room and not keep your iPad, puts that responsibility on them. So then you come in and you say, okay, you chose to clean your room. I'm so proud of you, have fun. Or you come in and be like, it seems like you chose to not clean your room, so you're choosing not to keep your iPad. Those little
Hmm.
words over time have made my kids strong, opinionated, and responsible for their own actions, and they're amazing. But that little change of word makes it where they can't put that on you. Well, you took my iPad. They can't be mad at anyone
Right.
other than themselves. That little piece of gold.
Wow, he's not just a handsome guy. He's a dad. Have you been studying this stuff, or did they hand you the book when you were at the hospital, or how did that work?
Yeah, no. Well, yes and no.
Okay.
So when I went through divorce, I'll tell everybody this too. So when you
Mhm.
go through divorce, I wanted to make sure I was the best parent that I could be, because I wanted my kids to be healthy through this and everything else. So I didn't just take and usually the courts will make you take a parental
Okay.
class or something, parenting class. Oh no, they didn't say anything about parenting classes. I went and took all of them. I took all the ones online. I took all the
Yep.
ones. I went here. I was in person taking parenting classes, and
Mhm.
so I could make sure that I was the best father that I could be for my kids.
That is awesome. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when my little situation was happening, I think the attorney may have even recommended it, or I was doing research. 'Cause I was trying to figure out how to, build the case, and they had all these online. You could become a certified parent, and I'm like, okay. Of course, I've seen some of the parents now, and maybe some classes may make sense. Who knows? But yeah, they do have a lot, and you know what? It's one of those where you can always learn something. I mean, I've been parenting here for going on 22 years here very shortly, and you sound like you've been in the trenches, and you can always learn something. Oh boy. Okay. I figure we were. I was hoping we'd get away from this show, not getting spam and stuff like that. And then we got this guy. Who's this young guy in here? That's obviously that's a catfish situation. I bet.
That
Yeah,
Captain America.
yeah, yeah, and I gotta say, Eric, turn your phone off and go have fun. Yeah, again, Eric's out there with his kiddos. He's doing some dad time, and a lot of good info there, and he's, I'm sure, employing a lot of those different things. So we got Sabrina. So you start doing something he likes. If he opens up, then you can move him to something else. What do you think,
true.
Robert? Yeah.
Getting kids involved is pretty tricky. What I started doing was, as my girls started getting older, I restore classic cars, and so they would come in the garage and they liked the cars, no problem. But to get them to, when they were younger, they would love to spray paint, door panels and whatever else, and wear the masks. And now that they're older, I'm like trying to get them into more advanced stuff, right? Like taking things apart or help me
turn some wrenches. That.
Right. So they're like, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay. So I started paying them, right? So when I started paying them to do it, then they come in and they help, still spending time with me, right? But paying them for a job, which is fine. But my girls can go in there, and just the other day, my daughter's friend had a problem with her. I think the AC blower wasn't going. And so we got in there, and her friends come over now, her girlfriends and stuff. And my daughters can do this stuff. Like, they're like, oh, that's the AC blower. Here, let's get under the dash, and they can do it.
Is that the KV4 attachment version kind of? Yeah. And that's so cool. And I mean, there are like things that we'll do, and it sounds like you've done that car wise. I mean, it's areas that, we have experience in. But when you have a kid do something for themselves or learn how to do something, and have you ever just sat back and just watched your kids do something, and that, you taught them, dads, and I'm making generalizations, but dads are more of the, we'll pick you up when you fail, but we're going to kind of throw you out there, out of the bird's nest a little bit, and then have you, we're not going to step by step through everything with you. We're going to, give you the kind of the overall parameters, and then have you go into it. And then you watch when they successfully build something or fix something, and they're like, oh my gosh, I did that, and that confidence booster. I mean, to me, that's one of the top 5 parenting goals and things. I don't know about you, Robert. What do you think?
I mean, I think they should learn everything that they can. If you know something, teach it to them. And if they're not willing to learn it, pay them. Because even if you're paying them, you're still spending time with them and getting them out of their their iPhones or whatever else they're looking at. Same thing again, but you have to set these rules up very, very early when they're young about, like, hey, we're going to spend an hour a day when you come over, and we're going to go for a walk, or we're going to go ride bikes or whatever. After that, you can do whatever it is you want. That way they get used to, doing this. It sucks because it's like making them eat green beans at first. Then it's so funny because my kids, they didn't like green beans at first. And so when they kept coming over, I'd always have the green beans. Well, one day they came over and I didn't have the green beans there, and they're like, Dad, what happened to the green beans? And I'm like, oh, let me get them for you. And I'd make some, and they started eating them. They've totally forgot that they hated them because they were so used to seeing them. Right. Anyway.
Well, and again, and it sounds like I'm trying to remember your custody schedule. I mean, mine was a little different. I was one of the, 5% that had 50-50, although it was, bought and paid for. It wasn't through like my overall genius or successfully navigating and fighting super hard. But with your custody schedule, and then I say as a recommendation for others, what are some ways on a third, fifth weekend, or however this custody schedule is, what are some ways you can connect with your kids? Because I'm assuming you understand that, when you get your kid after not seeing them for 2 weeks,
Yep.
there is that transition period, and you got all the other stuff happening. Any thoughts there?
Oh yeah. So if you're going through alienation, or the others trying to alienate them from you or anything like that, or bad mouthing you, what you need to do is take your children. If you've already had, and this is, so I'll explain it two different things. So if you've already had a relationship with your children and they're backing off because of you're not seeing them and you became a visitor, what you need to do is take them to places that they had memories at with you. So if you go take them to the zoo, you take them to Six Flags or something like that. Because what will happen is, while you're there, you don't have to say anything. Don't try to convince them of, well, don't, their own memories will flood the alienation, and it will rewrite what's going on. So this has happened a couple of times, and I've taken them to like the Arboretum or something like that, and then it ends up rewriting, erasing basically the alienation.
Sounds like someone spent some time in therapy. This sounds a little familiar, that they talk about that. I can't remember what it's called, like a replacement therapy, but taking those memories and then having those build on for future memories.
Yeah. I wish I had a class that had taught me that. And that's why I tell people in the support group this little trick, is because it 100%, their own memories flooded them. And so their own memories come back. So do that. You don't have to say anything. The other thing, if you don't have enough time with your kids, what you do is, when you do have time, take pictures, stuff like that, go on Facebook, post them public, because later on they're going to come back and see that you did have memories with them, or, because kids forget, like us. Think about this. And I tell dads this all the time. Like, they're like, well, I don't see my 3-year-old and whatever. And I was like, hey, look, what memory do you remember when you were 3? They're like, maybe Christmas. And I'm like, exactly. You remembered something, that maybe something traumatic happened or something like that, but there was a big event around that. So if your kid's seeing your ex and not you while you're 3, but the time that they do see you, it's a big event. So make it memorable for them. A basketball game, give them a gift of, like, something cool, like something that will surprise them, like a butterfly popping out of an envelope or something. Like something crazy. They'll actually remember that more so than the whole year of being around your ex. So most kids remember something out of the ordinary, and that's their childhood memories, is they first learned how to ride a bike or Christmas or something. So make each time memorable. Don't just play Uno every time that you see them, because you can play Uno 100 times, but they'll only remember it like it's once.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't mean to ramble.
Oh, no. This is all, great information, because we talk about the fight, we get into the, Title 4D, and they're changing this, and they're doing personhood, and they're, I think some guy in the comment was talking about, should I change their gender to win custody? We got to block him or something. But all these different things, and I know Eric's wanted to spend time on this, but talking about what it's like to be a dad, ways, in the trenches, ways that we can make, impactful moments on our kids, challenges that we've had, how we've overcome them. I'm sure that, when you first had your children, you had no idea. I don't care what books you read or whatever. It was, it's a new experience. And as you grow the child, and the thing is kids are not a program. That's one of my biggest challenges, is I think, things should be a certain way. I'm a very process oriented guy. So, I'm like, well, if I tell a kid this, then that should be the logical outcome, kind of like Spock. And being a parent has taught me that not even close. And especially having a bonus daughter, I've shared before that, I had 2 boys, 2 bio boys, and I've raised them. I'm a guy, so I'm, guy thing. And then I welcomed a 10, 11-year-old daughter when my wife and I met, and then kind of tried to, work that again, trying to be a parenting figure and adult influence for her over the years. I mean, I was like, oh, this will be just like, boys. No, I was wrong.
Yeah.
So, making all those, it's just not a roadmap. Is kind of where the long way around it. There's just no way to think that it's going to work a specific way. They're all challenges. And you have, I don't, how far into your personal stuff, but you have all girls or a mix, or what's the?
So I have mix. They're both equal, 4 and 4.
Okay, 4 and 4. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You've been
So I have,
busy.
yeah, I have older kids, and that's one of the things that kind of helped. Well, it didn't help me in court because I didn't involve them. I didn't want my older children to come to testify. I handled it all myself. I didn't
Wow.
at any point involve them or whatever. But when the home study or something would ask my children, they're like, "Well, does your dad get mad?" And my it was so funny. My sons were like, "My dad, he's probably raised his voice at us less than 5 times in our whole life, and we're already adults." And so that was a big thing. So I can kind of keep my cool. If I do anything, I'm like, I'm really disappointed you did that, or
Oh,
whatever. But I don't. There's
you
really
don't do
no.
the look, the dad look.
Oh, they know the look, but there's different ways to get across. You don't have to scream or call names. I
No.
mean, that's
Okay.
Um, I was looking at some of this. Here's great advice. Oh,
Yeah.
that was Eric that said that about the gender thing. I was trying to look at who did that. I was going to block them.
No, no. Oh, no. That would be, yeah, that would be some talking to be
You're
done on
gone.
Monday.
Yeah,
Just playing a little fun at Eric's expense. Hey, also be sure, like, share, subscribe. Again, get those stars out. We got the support options, Cash, Venmo, Carrier Pigeon, Dad Talk Today thing. That all certainly helps out. I believe you can go in Messenger and request one of the bugs. I can't remember the numbers and all that around it, but I think it's Messenger or on the main page. And our sport. I hate calling Cheryl support staff. She does so much more. But let Cheryl know. I'll just go ahead and get it out there. I was trying to find a nice PC way of saying that, but calling her support staff and calling her like an awesome goddess of knowledge and perseverance. That's probably more
yeah, she's
accurate.
amazing.
Yeah, she is amazing, and all the staff is. I know Eric's mom's helping out, and we trying to get different people there. But you can go on there and request and get a Tumblr and start those conversations. I hear Eric said something about the water tastes better. I think the comments made are not evaluated by the FDA or whatever it is. Oh, we got a new comment here. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, if you jumped off already, I hope you have a good
Oh,
day. He was asking for prayers for him and his sons. So if anyone's a prayer warrior out there, give Jason a couple of prayers. We'll certainly keep you in ours. And all you dads and
yeah.
moms, everybody going through this, it's a really hard thing to go through. And a lot of people don't understand what you're going through
Yeah.
unless you've been through it. The anxiety, waking up late at night at 4 in the morning and can't go back to sleep or whatever else. But there's tricks that you can do.
Yeah.
Anxiety. So
Okay.
whenever I would go through this, I went through 13 years of this. So I found out ways to deal with it naturally. I would eat like when I couldn't, like when I'd have anxiety, I'd go like at 4 in the morning or something, I'd go take a spoon of Bluebell ice cream and eat it, or chocolate. It was amazing, and then go back to sleep. But for some reason, it would just it would help the calm whatever was going on. So
Well, for the
anyway,
folks that don't know, Bluebell, when you talk about Bluebell in Texas, it's like our Whataburger in a way. I mean, Bluebell, not to get them in any more trouble, but they had a couple years ago they had a scare. It wasn't even, well, I'm sorry, it wasn't a scare. They had listeria, I think it was,
listeria.
and it like people deleted as a result of it trying to be PC. So the YouTube, Facebooky people don't get us. I can't say the other word, but they deleted as a result, and we didn't care. We're both Texans. We didn't care. We kept buying it. That's gives you an idea of how much Bluebell ice cream is an icon in Texas. That and a Whataburger. Um,
I I loved Bluebell so much that when that came out, they released the lot dates.
Uh-huh.
And so I had one in there, and I didn't know when Bluebell was coming back, so I didn't want to throw it away. I literally knew that it could have had this in there because it was one of the lots. I still went there and ate like a scoop of it, and it lasted all the way up until they kind of brought like it was a week that I went without Bluebell basically. But
Oh,
and then I went and stocked up because then I didn't know if it was going to happen again.
then yeah,
But it literally had the lot date, and I was like, I don't care. Like
I
I
wonder.
waited long and it couldn't come back, so I still ate it. So
Yeah, not endorsing Bluebell, but with Texans, us and our Bluebell ice cream. I don't know if Deborah's from the area, but yeah, we go nuts over our Bluebell. It's one of those tradition things, and it's so you actually had one of the lots that was impacted.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, I
You're
took the
like,
chance,
eh.
right? Because it said that because it actually had the lot date, and I looked it up online, and it was one of the lots that could have been affected. I was like, hmm. So I just left it in the fridge, and I went without about a week, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try a spoon and see if I get like sick. And tried a spoon, nothing happened. So I was like, okay. So then I waited as long as I could until I just kept rationing it out until it lasted until it was gone. So, but
that
I never got sick. So
That to give everybody out there, I mean, that right there is what we talk about when we say Bluebell ice cream lovers and how Texans are love their Bluebell. Let's see, looking through some of the comments, but I also, I mean, I did want to talk about this father. I'm going to see if I can bring up my screen here. Do that. I'm not going to share my audio. There we go. Okay. Ignore everything else out there. So this father here, it's overseas. I don't know exactly where it's at. I know we're going in a whole different direction here. It looks like um, should have read more of the article, but this was a situation as I understand it. Again, none of this has been evaluated. This is again getting basic information. This gentleman here, went through a divorce situation back in 2015, and his ex-wife said, "Hey, I want to get their passports because who knows what may happen or whatever that is." And she got the passport, and he thought, "Hey, this is a good idea. It makes sense as a parent, make sure to protect kids." Well, she got the passports, and then bolted. I believe I read one where where she went to the United States from. Well, yeah, he's out of country, so that would make sense. Sorry, it's hard for me because I think, well, one, Texas is the United States. I don't recognize any other states, but then United States and then other countries. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, so he was outside the country. His ex-wife got a passport and then bolted
to
to the
the
United
U.S.
States, and then he, of course, can't get any relief or any help. I know, Robert. I know this is late breaking. This happened, I think, yesterday. Or
He actually can if the United States is an extradition to wherever he's at. I can actually help him with that, or you can go to like there's stuff online. Actually, all the airlines have it too.
Oh,
If he can message me, if he's listening to it, I don't know if he's listening to it or not, but there is actually things you can do. Each state has extradition, and so you can actually go to. And I looked this up. What was it for someone else? Their person had taken them to Mexico or something, and so I was like, "Who did they go with?" And he said American, and so we went on their website, and it actually has and I actually, after I looked it up on American, I looked it up on all the other websites. At the bottom of each website, it actually has where you can contact them, and they have all the links for,
oh, wow.
because apparently this happens all the time. So each airline actually has links on their website to where you can, if this happens, you can, and who to contact to extradite, them back to wherever they're from.
Okay. And that, again, another plug for the support group. That is, I mean, we get a lot of people on asking questions and I need help and things like that. And, again, it's a community run by, people that are also going through it. They have their day jobs. They're wanting to help out. And, that is the place that people can go initially to talk about, any challenges or things that they're trying to get help with. Now, I would ask, I'm a tech guy. I've been doing this type of stuff for a while. And a couple, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right word to use, but a couple things that, just to get out there. One, when you do make a request, tell us the state that you're in, if it's just one state that we're dealing with, and even county, because again, I'm going to pick on Texas. Counties in Texas do things a lot differently, or parishes, wherever you're from or what country you're from. Succinctly explain what the issue is. Know the audience, know what you're asking, and then just some basic information. You don't have to really include names, but and then what you're looking for. But do it succinctly. And I would say probably, Robert, you may have some additional suggestions. This may be a time to kind of plug, because I see what happens in the support group, and let's just flip it around. So you have this story here, you have this long explanation, and again, not detracting from it or trying to throw any heat the guy's way, but and you've got to be able to condense that down, bullet point it, so it's easy to understand and work with. What your thoughts?
You do. So when you're going through your custody battle and the judge doesn't want to hear this stuff, your lawyer can get up there and ramble, whatever, they're going to lose the judge. If you can get in there and literally bullet point it, like let's say this guy, if I was the dad and be like, okay, she asked me for permission, to get, vaccinated for the passports. I gave her the vaccination permission. I gave her permission for the passports. She took my kid out of the country, and now she won't come back. I have joint custody, and that's it. That's it. I don't know. I haven't read the article, whatever, but you need to condense your stuff like that. Like me, like when we go in front of the legislator or judiciary committees, I'm like, hey, we went through 13 years of this. It's family court. False allegations, over 43 of them, never convicted, never arrested. It was all done by proxy. Mom never did, the mom never filed any CPS herself. So you have to condense it. Yeah, you want to tell them all this, how it happened, what she did, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to hear that. If you can condense your story very, very quickly, you can get your point across. And right. I would tell everybody that, and timeline it. Like if you can show a timeline, because if you do a home study or a psych eval, they're going to want to know all those little bits and pieces of, she didn't allow you at school, or she tried to block you here, or didn't answer her emails or whatever, or didn't notify you of the doctors. If you can timeline that stuff, that is your best way to win a case. No lawyer, no matter how much you pay him. I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, should I not? Okay.
We're not lawyers.
Yeah.
But
so
this sounds like you'll be dropping some mad tracks down here in about 2 seconds.
Yeah. So you are your best advocate. You will not win your case if you are not fluent with your own case, because if you can't explain it, 100% your lawyer's not going to explain it. If you keep jumping forwards, backwards, flashbacks here, flashbacks there, that's why that timeline is so important. If you can get that on a piece of paper, your lawyer can just okay, and then he'll go regurgitate it to the judge. That is the only way you're going to win a case. You cannot sit there and tell him, I'm going to call you every time she didn't allow me at school, or this or that or whatever, and you think your lawyer's going to remember the day? No way. 100% no. He will remember to bill you though in those quarter increments.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see that you called him. He's not going to remember it though. And if he has 30 people, the other thing I was going to tell you is judges. If you go in there, you think the judge remembers you from 3 months ago, 5 months ago, 100% they don't. Unless you went in there and acted stupid or did something crazy or yelled at them.
You don't want them to remember you.
You don't want them to remember you. Exactly. You can literally walk in there and they act like they remember, but they don't. They 100% don't. So think about going to your kid's school and meeting like 10 new people. You're not going to remember their names. You're not going to remember their stories. A judge hears 20 cases a day at least. No way. And then if you like right now, DeWayne, what did you have for lunch on last Monday? Can't remember. That's the way a judge is. Unless you say something to jog their memory, they're not going to remember. So it's like amnesia. So you get in there and don't think that they remember your case. Go in there and present your case like they've never heard it.
Right.
If you do that, then you will start winning.
Yeah. I mean and that's the thing. I mean, smart things. And I mean, think about this almost logistically or financially or however you need to think about it. But yeah, your lawyer, they know the law, and I'm going to make a lot of generalities, but they know the law, they know the judge, they know whatever. They don't know your case, and they don't want to know all the intricacies that, she cheated on you, she drained the bank account. They, I mean, conceptually they do, but bullet point and time, I mean, a timeline is perfect because you can see, and then it'll help you frame it as well, because you'll see, okay, in 2010 this happened, okay, here's the progression of the crazy. They didn't allow you to see your kids on this date, on this date, on this date, and you can show that pattern. And that's, I mean, people, they figure out images, they figure out the bullet points, and they understand that that'll resonate more with them. I mean, in the real world, I'm a project manager. If I go in there and just start saying a bunch of stuff, they're not going to hear a thing. But if I show them a chart or a timeline, a time scale, or some type of way to make that data relevant, and well, it's another thing is relevancy to them, but and I make it relevant to them, they're going to remember that. They don't, people going in there thinking their case is the worst, and and she hung up on him 3 years ago. No one cares. Now your lawyer will bill you for it.
They'll act like it's important.
Oh yeah,
but it's not. Like, they sit there and basically you would be better off. Your lawyer, think about it. Mine was like $500 an hour. If your lawyer is even $200 an hour, go get a therapist at $80 an hour and go throw up on them. It will save you money. Go tell your therapist they won't allow me at school. They won't this, they won't that, blah, blah, blah. Get it out. Get it out. You need to get that out. Not to your attorney. You're basically wasting your money. Because unless you have court coming up, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you bring your car in, you tell them exactly what's wrong with it. Not, 3 years ago the tire fell off and you're going to get your transmission looked at. Those two usually won't have anything to do with each other. You need a very succinct, get in there and specifically, break out, what you want your attorney to do, and give them the necessary information to do their job. And again, speaking in generalities, there are some good attorneys out there. Other thing is, don't show emotion. I'm going off on different tangents here. Melissa Isaac is famously quoted as saying, was the emotions lose cases for men and win them for women. That's I don't know if she coined it or where it came from, but whoever said it, it's a true statement. And I'll tell you right now, I'm fighting the urge not to highlight a comment that came up earlier, because this may get us into uncharted waters here, but I guess I'll put it up there. Well, I think someone did it, or we were thinking the exact same thing.
I saw
it. Oh, okay.
We just started the podcast behind the scenes or whatever, and we're talking about something crazy. But it's funny that Eric wasn't even around, and I guess he somehow heard us.
Somebody, yeah. Well, he says he's not here and doesn't want to do the dance. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't know if I mean, $5 for me to show off all this and throw my moves down. I'm thinking gotta get a little like a star party going, or it's gotta, I'm not a hollaback girl. I need to be, talked into it. Maybe if some stars come in or some other stuff come in, maybe, unless you're feeling up for it. I'm good. Rusty.
I was going to turn some background music on here, but he doesn't have anything like
appropriate.
It's all slow music or something.
Yeah, and two guys up on screen. Yeah, that's a whole other. Yeah.
So we'll move past that.
Okay. I don't like Whitney's comment at all. Robert can actually dance.
Right.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, we're.
Go ahead. I'll let you do it.
Huh?
Oh, it's here's another one. Forget the therapist. Hire Robert or DeWayne. Yeah, that's a good thing for the support group. If you come in there, there's actually people that would love to listen to you vent and whatever else. Like, you can get a support buddy in there. It's almost like AA. You meet a lot of new people. That's what it's there for you to support each other. And you'd be amazed that, let's just say you've been in this a year or two and you've learned quite a bit. There's somebody brand new starting out in there all the time. Like, this is their, and so you can be their sounding board, but at the same time, it will help you because you're helping somebody going through what you already had went through.
Right.
And it helps a lot for everyone to be there for each other.
It's therapy on both sides because I'll be honest, I'm on the other side of mine. I think kind of everybody knows that part of it now, but getting a chance to talk about things or talk to someone else that's been through it and mentoring them and talking with them, that's actually been therapy for me. So for the guys and girls that are going through it in the beginning stages, being there for somebody else, or and it doesn't need to be you sharing your story specifically. It's listening to them and going, oh, that sounds familiar, and then you guys working it out. But yeah, that the support group is an awesome place because one, it's an area that I think everyone that goes there has had some challenges. You're going to be around a community of people that have been through what you've been through in some form or fashion, and you can relate to them. I mean, that's why if I go to a Comic-Con, I'm around a bunch of nerds. They're my people. I can talk about who is Rodimus Prime versus Optimus Prime, and who's the better leader and stuff, and they get it. I tell my wife that, and she just looks at me and goes, "You mean the dumb truck?" And and we move on. But
No, the gun. No.
yeah, the gun, Megatron.
Yeah.
Right there. I got recently got
Aw.
the mask. But
So
yeah,
Sabrina's like, typically yelling comes from frustration, no matter situation. That's true.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to somehow empty your cup all the time. And so if you have to come to support group, empty it, your therapist, empty it, or go ride a bike, take some breathers, whatever it is, and then just come back to the situation. It made me think the other day, I don't know if Erica told you. So I was in a classic car. Like I said, I restore them. And so I was loading it off the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw when I started it, there was this like white smoke. So I thought it was exhaust and the wind was blowing it from the front to the back. Well, so I'm on the trailer and then I get down the ramp and I get eye level and I see it flames from the front of the trailer all the way to the car. And I was like, oh my gosh, like the car's on fire. So I turned it off immediately. I get out and look, and it's already melting all the rubber and stuff underneath the car. And so it's a manual, so I just put it neutral and like scooted the car backwards with my body. Then I ran to my truck, got a Route 44 drink, threw it on the engine, thinking, okay. So I opened the hood and there's flames. I was like, so I threw it in there, shut the hood because I didn't want a lot of oxygen.
Right.
Anyway, go knock on a neighbor's door, got a fire extinguisher, put it out, no problem. But the whole time it was crazy because, you're going through all these emotions and whatever else. It's kind of like what Sabrina said, it's from frustration, whatever. Mm-hmm. So you can let that frustration take over you. Same thing. I could have let like the event that was going on, just sit back and just watch this, go up in flames, whatever. Yeah. But because I didn't, I was able to put it out fast enough, whatever. But, whatever's happening to you, just try not to lose your cool and get lost in whatever. Try to find something that you can kind of treat it as a normal event, and then later on think, wow, I handled that one okay or whatever. But just try to pull back from whatever's happening to make you go to that space. And
we got to be, we have to be thinking. I mean, actually, when Eric and I were, I think there was the smear video or live that we were doing, and we were sharing some of our failures or times that we didn't, rise to the challenge the right way, and times that frustration got the better of me. Just kind of talking. I mean, Eric shared some of his, I shared some of mine, and if you want to share some of yours, great. We're all not perfect. We're all human. If you do or have gotten frustrated and done something that you regret, hopefully you got to the point where you regret it and you're like, I need to make amends, apologize, and then find out ways to not be frustrated. I mean, think using the Mustang analogy, which still brings a tear to my eye because I love Mustangs. Had you not been through those scenarios before, or had preparations A through G to get ready for preparation H, sorry, I love that joke from Austin Powers. I can't help it. I'm an old guy. I love jokes like that. I love the preparation H jokes. But had this been your first rodeo, as they say down here in Texas, you probably would have freaked out and ran around and beat the car or did something. But you've been in the trenches, you've thought about it, you're like, okay, I've seen this before. And logically went through it. You handled the immediate need. Hopefully it wasn't a good brand of soda that you threw on the car. Hopefully it wasn't Mountain Dew Zero, which is it. What?
It was Coca-Cola. It was a big old. It was like this. It was full. I just
okay. And you just dumped it on there.
It did nothing to it.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, where I spend time is I, think through. I play chess in my head a lot with scenarios in life and things like that. And I'm always thinking about stuff. And it sounds like you've done. I mean, when you saw, oh, there's flames, I need to diagnose the issue. Oh, this must be it. This is how I fix it, and calmly as possible work through it. And that's what we need to have people doing. Is doing that so you're not letting your emotions get the better of you and all that. I don't know, Robert, did you ever want to talk about a time where your emotions did get the better of you? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
We're all human.
When like I said, I mean, my kids will tell you that I didn't even raise my voice, but the first time that I had the first allegation of just it was just protective order, restraining order, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I really thought that I was dreaming. I was so like at first, and all of you have gone through it. Like you can't believe it. You think it's a dream or whatever. You're like, someone's pranking me, whatever.
Right.
But then when you find out it's real and it settles in, it is the worst feeling that you could possibly imagine if you've never been through it.
Yeah.
And to have your kids taken away, you can't really explain that unless you've lived it. And that is when my emotions were just like, raw, like,
yeah.
And if you think about it, what animal in the wild kingdom do you know, if you take their cub from them, that you are not going to get met with like, if you take a tiger's cub from them, what's going to happen? And so you just have, and I guess in a way that, and all of us have been through it, you have to pull yourself back, because at that point, if you were an animal, your instincts would be to go after them and take that child back or that cub back.
Right.
And so I guess everyone does kind of pull back, because that hasn't happened, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean that first one, and again, I don't want to share too much. This is you to share what you would like, but I know that one was not the first allegation that or that was that one would have been the first one, but it seems that became kind of the other side's that was their MO, as it were. But yeah, that first night you received, well, you're like, you're telling me I'm a bad parent. You're telling me I'm so bad I need to have my kids taken away. You're already going through all kinds of other stuff, because this wasn't in a vacuum. There was all kinds of other stuff happening. And yeah, the teeth, the daddy bear comes out. And I'm like, you're not taking my kids away from me. These people that have nothing to do with my life. I know I'm a good dad, and you are going to use the law to take my kids away to play. And I'm sure at the time you knew it was all to play games, and it was all part of the structure of family court. That's just a horrible situation. And a person that does that, levying all those, and see how I use the word levy, talking about an assistant district attorney that actually is on video saying that's how you get the leg up in a divorce, is to file child protection. Yeah. Is it Levy? Levy?
Levy, I don't know.
I went to the levy and it was dry. Yeah, sorry.
That Led Zeppelin?
Do what?
Oh,
that was I can't remember who sang that. Sorry, I'm going on, and my little video thing here is popping off over here.
That's all right. All right. What are the options for indigent folks? Also, there's not a local therapist in the area of Northern Maine. So if you don't have health care or anything like that, there's a few options you can do. And actually, a lot of therapists, if you call their office and tell them that you're indigent, that they do a lot of volunteer hours sometimes, and they will sometimes give you some free therapy, because they have to do so many volunteer hours a year and stuff like that. So 100% call all the therapists around you. If you can't, come in the support group. and then I'll make some phone calls for you. So
Yeah.
try that.
Yeah, that could be an area where, in a support group, you can say, hey, I'm in the Maryland area or New Mexico or whatever that person was at. Are there any other parents that are in that area that we could get together? I mean, we do a lot of, Zoom
Mhm.
stuff today. You can do the messenger video chat, so you can have that video. But if it's got to be in person, go in there and see if there are support groups that you can get into. A lot of, different options there. Let's see, Deborah, go
Yep.
fishing, hunting, take the time to practice self-care. Yeah. I know Eric does hunting. I'd love to go hunting again. I just don't know if I've got the back for it anymore. Used to do that with my dad when I was a kid. So some of the other comments we got out here, because I do actually, I have some news up here on my other screen. I haven't popped it up yet, so we've got other items we could talk about that are related to dad talk and some things there. But again, some of this is just getting feedback from the group on things they want to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Deborah, if I'm ever in New Mexico late Sunday, they close the street for cars and Albuquerque Classic Car and Lowrider Show. I love classic cars. Been in it, had a classic car museum here in Dallas, Texas. It was pretty cool. I've owned a ton of them, but man, they're something else. There's always little tricks that each one of them, they're all different. No matter if you bought like 5 Mustangs, 5 Corvettes, whatever it is, they all have different ways of starting. They almost have their own personality to them. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. So I see one here from Mark. Yeah, he's a friend of the org. Just had it happen to me again. False allegations at my 15-year-old's high school by my daughter and ex-wife. Oh, yeah. Mark, you're definitely a fighter.
I'm gonna have to call him because I'm kind of wondering what's going on with him. Mark's an amazing person. Every time that we're somewhere and we need some rooms or something like that, Mark's the first one to, like, hey, you need a hotel. Where are you going? What's going on? And we can always count on Mark for, there's last minute things going on. Yeah, I'm really worried about what's going on with him, but he's an advocate. He's a like a monster advocate. Like if you got something going on with your case, and that's the crazy part. How is it that you're able to help so many people? And I never understood this because, like, even the other day, I was some guy had his kids taken away with CPS, and I got in a Zoom call with him and his attorney. And I reamed his attorney. I was like, why are you even bringing that up? Like, you should be focused on this, and this. I was like, this is why he hasn't had his kid, because if you're saying this and doing this, then you need to. And his attorney was like, well, I never thought about that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's almost like we're having to educate these attorneys. And I thought about this afterwards. It's that a lot of these attorneys don't know how to fight false allegations or CPS or any of that stuff. They think because they don't see enough of it. It's almost like maybe one attorney has like one case a year with this, but it's extreme, right? It's your case. They're not used to fighting this stuff. So if your attorney needs kind of like a crash course in what's going on, because and ask him, say, look, how many cases have you seen that, like mine, that you're trying to fight? That CPS is holding my kids, or my ex is false allegations. How many of these have you fought? And if they say 2 or 3, call me. I will come in, do a Zoom, pay your attorney, whatever, and I will tell them what's going on, how to shortcut it, how to fight it, whatever. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I have been through this. I spent several $100,000 getting this legal system to where it's at, and I have joint custody of my kids. So, I know how to shortcut it very quick. If you'll come to the support group, we can help you.
Yeah, I'm going to show Eric how it's done with the putting the banners up there, but that is some red pill stuff right there. Come into the support group, get red pilled, and learn how to fight the system. And it's, again, these are going to be the therapy part of it, the getting educated. And, you pointed out earlier in the discussion is that getting educated, you're the one that's going to push your attorney to do the right thing. You're going to educate them. And again, because they have an incentive, and not all attorneys, but I'm going to say most of them have an incentive to drag this case out, to make it as long as possible. Sometimes they just want to get their job done and move on with their life. They're not going to know the intricacies of your case. You've got to get educated and show them this is how you do it. You're your biggest advocate. You're the one that's going to get in there. Talk about Mark again. Yeah, great guy, huge contributor. And, not to, I guess, throw a little smoke, but we talk about people, oh, I don't have time, or I've got this. I work, a kind of a 9 to 5-ish job and all that. So I'm, in the office. And again, I know this isn't the same for everybody, but like when Dad Talk Today comes on, I've got a TV and 2 monitors. I'll have Dad Talk Today on mute because I'm leading calls and doing my techie stuff, but I'll have it up there. I'll show the support, doing the liking and stuff while I'm working. And, and I get involved. I go to the town hall meetings. I do this, I do that. It's not, it's where you want to spend your time, and we need to have the people doing those type of things. And again, you may be at a different point in your journey where you're trying to, just stay above water, or you've just been financially crushed. You don't have to, spend a lot of money or spend any money. It's, time. It's showing the support, doing the likes, the shares, the subscribing. If you do say, hey, I'm going to give a buck or two to what that Eric's doing here, you can do that. But everybody that's in this can contribute something. Time being one of the big things, like, share, subscribing, buying the tumblers, doing all those different things. But that's, just throw a little bit of, something out there. We can all contribute. We've got people like Mark and Robert and Eric and Deborah and so many others that are out there that I haven't named. Don't want to, miss anybody, but that spend a lot of time doing this. And I think in a way it's therapy. I don't know about you, Robert. I mean, do you get a sense of satisfaction though helping somebody? Is that to you therapeutic?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because and I've thought about this too, because you do feel like you've helped, and it is kind of therapeutic. But in the same aspect, when somebody's going through something that I went through and it triggers something like the false allegations or something, then you end up reliving it with them because it comes back. And so when you're talking to them about this and you're hearing the emotion in their voice and everything else, I that's one thing that I can't distance myself from. So if you're going through it, I feel it if I'm talking to you about it. Okay. And so I think I need to kind of figure out how to distance that. But I mean, even thinking about it, I'm just like,
it's a good point. Because whenever I hear some story, and I'll be honest, listening to stories is not my strong suit. Again, I'm a very process data guy, so hearing the emotional side of it's been a challenge for me. But whenever I hear something that reminds me a trigger of what had happened, it brings me right back there, and it's almost masochistic in a way because you just keep getting pulled back in. But that's a good point.
So this guy had said a good point about the tiger cub, which kind of reminded me about false allegations. Mm-hmm. So if any of you are going through false allegations, here's another little tidbit. So when, and I remember being in front of a committee or something when they asked, they're like, well, why would a child say something that didn't happen? And I'm like, okay, well, what about the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus? Who taught these kids about those things? And those things aren't real. But yet when you ask a child, they really believe that a fat man comes down the chimney and whatever else. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, so when you take dad out of the home and you say that dad was abusive and that he had to be removed and we have police protecting us and whatever else, that child, you can get that child to believe that dad was abusive and whatever else, and he'll regurgitate that. And so when somebody asks you, why is a child saying that? Be like, well, who taught him about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy? Because when you pull that person, the only person out of the home that could tell him that this is false, that Santa Claus is not real, or there is no boogeyman, then that's what you get.
Yeah. I wanted to capitalize here, Miss Mandalorian. Again, I also love the name. What is bad about the false allegations, even if you prove they are false, it is there and people will still associate that false allegation with you.
So I got to tell you, so when I was going through this, I would go to the school, and when this started, now I passed the background check, but there were still allegations and CPS.
Right.
That still did not keep me from that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna have lunch with them, whatever. I had the school teachers and police following me around,
Mm-hmm.
and yet I acted like nothing ever happened because my kids were like, fourth grade, fifth grade, and I was having
Right.
lunch. And so even though I wasn't having the best experience, I never let my kid see that or experience
Wow.
that. And so I sat there, played Uno with them. Now, don't get me wrong, if my child was beside me or whatever, I'd turn this way towards them where they couldn't be, right beside me. I'd keep kind of knee distance to play, games or whatever. So you don't go sit them on your lap or try to get some crazy, uh, another allegation going. But they never experienced that or knew that anything was going on. And I always played with their friends and whatever else. But, just be mindful where you're at. But it doesn't matter what people think about you. The only thing that should matter is your relationship with your child and whatever they're experiencing at the time. And as long as you can make that experience meaningful and just you two, then, it really doesn't matter what the mom or the parents or not parents, but the teachers or anybody else think. You have that time with them and you make it the most meaningful time that you possibly can.
Yeah. Looks like that. Yeah. Robert, dude, we should replicate you. You have really good practical solutions to real scenarios. We need more of you. Thanks, man. I think we can. I
Thanks.
think everyone can echo that. I mean, yeah, you huge. Yeah, and actually, I've learned stuff just in our chat here so far. I mean, these are. I mean, you're throwing down some real world solutions to these things that come up that impact so many people, and it's yeah. I mean, thank you for it's kind of thank you for going through what you went through to get here. It's kind of a weird thing, but yeah, I mean,
Well, I'm here for you to pick my brain, and whatever you have, more than likely, the sad part, I probably went through it, experienced it, or have dealt with it
yeah,
in the support group, or I've seen whatever. So, these attorneys, they go in there and they listen to you, especially, they're writing all these things down. Oh yeah, we can do this, we can do that. Give me a retainer. After that, after you give them that retainer, I can almost promise you never hear from them unless you're the one calling them or doing whatever. They're not like, hey, what are we doing on this? What are we doing on that? You won't.
yeah.
But with that retainer, they're your biggest advocate, whatever else. And so, you have to know your own case more than they do. And you have to teach them your case. Don't expect them to know your case. You have to teach them your case.
And do not set them up on automatic withdrawals. I'm sorry,
Right.
pennies worth of free advice. Robert, well, boy, I'm going to butcher the first name, Mr. Williams. Let's just go, Mr. Williams. How do we join the support group?
Yeah. So if you go on Facebook and type in Dad Talk Today support group, so this is Dad Talk Today, but if you type in Dad Talk Today support group, in fact, let me see if I can post it in a comment at Dad Talk Today. I don't think it'll come up, but maybe. Let me see. I stuck it in the comments, but it's at Dad Talk Today support group. So
Yeah.
see if it comes up. Are you able to see the questions from what do you call it? Let me see, where are we at here?
Yeah, this is
This
just
is on Facebook. Yeah. So there's Dad Talk Today support group. If you just hit join, someone will let you in. Of course, they'll kind of do a quick skim of your profile just to make sure you're not your ex or somebody else trying to get in. So anyway, yeah. So come in. We have some amazing people in there. The other thing is, so I make these 1-minute videos that are in there that talk about false allegations, that talk about, more time with your kids with the school, or even the amicus attorneys. If any of your amicus attorneys, again, I'm not a lawyer, but any of your amicus attorneys are trying to file their fees as child support in the state of Texas. It's actually illegal. They cannot do that. There's case law on it and they can't do it, but they do it anyway. And if your attorney is not smart enough to show that case law, judges do actually grant it, which is sad. There's a lot of stuff that you can learn in there.
I got here. Tiffany's going, yes, my husband has to have someone around at all times, so nothing can be switched around and said, going back to the false allegations and all that. Yeah. I mean,
you know what? The other thing you can do is have cameras installed in your home. There are these.
I have them.
You can go to Sam's Club. They're the cheapest way to fight false allegations and to have anything even said. And let the other side know that you have cameras in your home. Do not put them in the kids' room. Do not put them in the bathrooms. Only in the main areas or outside of the doors. That way it shows you when you come in out of the door or whatever. But don't put them in the rooms. They're Bluetooth. They last about 3 months of recording. And the way that we have them set up used to have them set up is whenever I put them on a schedule, only when my kids are there. So when I had them, that's when, and they were motion triggered. So they would record the first 30 seconds. It lasts forever, and everything stopped. So those are your best things to fight allegations if you're going through this.
Yeah, I went. I went even. I'm cheap. I'm technical and I'm cheap all at the same time. It's a wonderful mix. You should. Well, you already know Brandy, so you got to feel sorry for her on some of my cheapness. But actually, at Walmart, they have these Genie cameras, and they're $20 a pop. And you can get little micro SD cards, and they are Wi-Fi and all that. And I got mine, the originals ones that I had, 13 some odd years ago at this point, because I kind of knew what was happening. But you can put them in your home. Do not put them, near the bathroom and all that. You can set up on schedules, and I have them in and outside my home because I've had drive-bys, people driving by that is kind of weird. And then also in the house, to prevent any misunderstanding. Because video should, if it's allowed in court, video should stop that. But you can, I'm not endorsing the Genie cameras, but I've been using them for I think 5 years, and they're great. I mean, you have full motion control. I have one upstairs, one downstairs in the house, and then outside cameras as well to kind of keep an eye on everything. And they can come. It's better to have it and not need it than not have it and need it. So
yeah,
it works out. Yeah,
and they're there. You don't have to go check your cameras, and it rides on a hard drive that's Bluetoothed in or whatever. Yeah. So unless you need it, I just let it go. I mean, and once I let them know I had them, it never came up again.
At first, they were like, well, why do you? And it's like, well, then you have to sit down and have that discussion with them. But then after that, no one in the house even knows. Actually, it's funny now that we're past all the nonsense. We have animals. I have 3 dogs and 2 cats. Don't even ask me how that all got started. I was not wanting to do that, but now the cameras record cat stuff. And dog stuff when funny stuff happens. Yeah, I submitted one to America's Funniest Home Videos because I was doing something and I tripped over one of the cats, and the cat just looked at me as I was laying on the floor dying. But did a submission to America's Funniest Home Videos. But yeah, we have that. But again, it's a good thing there. Let's see what other kind of comments we got here. I do want to talk about this potential new law coming down. Or a bill that's being introduced. I do want to talk about that. It's actually in Eric's home state. But
that bill. Okay, I thought you were talking about the child support or upon consent.
The preborn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
That's such BS. Anyway, we won't get on that one. We'll go ahead and talk about the good one.
Okay. This is. Let me go ahead and present it, and it's showing video, so you'll get to see a little motion here. But and I probably should have done a better job of having it. Let me see if I can make that a little bit. So Georgia I don't know if it's been introduced or it could be introduced. I hope we don't get a copyright strike here because the video is playing. But let me actually pause that.
You can probably
whatever. But Georgia is actually talking about. I think we gotta get Eric off of here. Get his wife to take his phone away from him. But anyway, Georgia's gonna I hate to say mandate because in the media and the news they're trying to sensationalize everything. So they're going to have that spin on it. It's not, we're going to make things equal. It's mandating 50-50 custody. I don't know, Robert, what do you think about the language there or anything with the bill?
So I don't. I saw this when you brought it up, but the
Uh-huh.
way it reads, I think that it's probably going to be submitted, is what it is, and so they're just showing you the language of the bill before it's submitted to the Senate or the House or whatever they're doing.
Right.
But yeah, the 50-50 custody is a big deal. For all the states, there's, a few states it's already 50-50 custody, Kentucky, Arkansas, hopefully Georgia's pretty soon. But, this is sad that we actually have to fight for equal custody, especially if you're a fit, willing, and able parent. They're going to bring up, the deadbeat dads and deadbeat moms and everything else just to kind of combat this. But it doesn't matter. Eventually we're going to get this. It's kind of like abolishing slavery or something like that. We're going to eventually do it, but man, they're fighting tooth and nail to not give it up. So, but if there's enough of us that keep banding together, making the support group and sharing these videos and giving support, Eric and I talked about this. If we had a couple of $1 million, we could literally destroy this whole thing and there would be 50-50 custody, nationwide. If we had that much funding to back us, because at that point, I think we could just destroy this place. I mean, look what we're doing on a shoestring budget. I mean,
Pennies,
literally, it's a shoestring budget.
When you say literal, I mean, yeah, because I know that, well, you and Eric both do the classic cars. I think pretty much everyone, no one's making money off the movement.
No,
I say almost
Listen,
no one.
Let me tell you, if you're donating to this is not get rich, whatever. Eric has a job. I have a job. Besides this, I mean, you see us on here all the time. We're literally, there's no amount of pay that could literally pay us for the amount of hours that we do, or even you or anybody else. Like, this is all done on, generosity in your heart and everything else. This is all volunteer. There's nobody getting paid here. So, just know that this is not a get rich anything. We all have other businesses and other jobs that we're doing to support, to be able to give you this type of information.
Right. But again, we all feel this is so important.
I mean, yeah.
When we went through it, or well, some of us are still going through it, different folks that are in the movement, they said, you know what? I want my kids to not suffer the way I did. That was the promise I made to my children when I was going through it. And that's why I'm still here. I know I've had my moments where I had to walk away for a while, but that is that promise, that unspoken promise I made to my kids. That's why I'm in it. Because you, Eric, others, everyone in here, we want it to be better for our children because we see the problem, and that's why we donate and spend so much time on this, driving all over the country, flying all over the country. I mean, I don't know about you. Talking to politicians all day. Did you ever think in a million years when you were 10 years old and you wanted to be a cowboy or a space shuttle guy or whatever you wanted to be, I'm going to spend my days talking to politicians or talking to people that are going through the worst thing in their entire life. They say that going through a divorce or dealing with these things, the strain it puts on your body is worse than any other thing you could ever go through. Cancer.
I believe it. I 100% believe it. It's almost like going through chemo or something. It just the effects that it has on your body.
Yeah.
No, I never thought that I would be doing this in 100 years. I thought I would be doing anything else but talking to politicians about changing laws. Like, I had no idea, but it works. I have a bill that's coming up. It's called Time Taken, Time Back. So whenever you get a protective order, restraining order against somebody, then, or against you, that time that you lost, in Texas at least, you will end up getting that time back. So once it passes here in Texas this year, I'm going to take it to all 50 states and get that passed in every state. So it basically takes the incentivization out of making the false allegation in the first place if they're going to get that time back. And it's not only your time back, it's equal time. So if they and I call it holiday hijacking. I coined the
Right.
term. I must find out some way to patent that. But anyway, so I called it holiday hijacking. That way the judges will know immediately that this is false allegations. They're coming in here. They want to hijack they want, with a protective order, restraining order, they want to hijack your Christmas, your New Year's, your Thanksgiving, all that. And so my attorney, Brad Nace, he actually used it in one of his court orders, and the judge was like, whoa, where did this term come from? And it made sense. It hit like immediately with the judge. As soon as he said holiday hijacking, they're like, whoa. They knew exactly this is false allegations trying to hijack your holiday. And so anyway, so have that stuff going on.
So yeah, how does I mean, this is kind of a mystery for me, and I know that I may appear smarter than I actually am, or where I'm. Whatever I meant. What I meant was, people may think I'm kind of smart. I'm really not. I just kind of find out what other smart people do and then try to copy it best I can. But how do you get a bill introduced? I mean, kind of like the bullet point version of that.
Yeah, so you have to talk to your state legislators. Go to them, tell them what the problem is, but they can't fix everything. Think about it. It's like someone coming to you to tell them to fix, a carpentry job that you have or something. They don't know that, right? So you have to come up with a bill yourself. Now they'll work with you, or they have the support team to work with you about coming up with whatever, but it would have to be some way that impacts things. So like in my case with my bill, people have tried it before to get that time back. But the problem is they wanted whoever it was that made the false allegation to either go to jail or pay a fine. And every legislator that has ever came across in every state about giving the time back and making that person that made the allegation pay for it, they vetoed it every time because they don't want people to not make the allegation. So if a kid was really being hurt and someone didn't do it because of the risk of them going to jail or a fine, then it was putting that kid in a position to keep being abused. So they don't want to take for people to be able to make the allegation. And that's why the time taken, time back bill is so clean and important, because it doesn't do anything to the abuser other than give the time back to the person that it was taken from, which takes the incentivization out of doing it in the first place.
Right.
So if they took your Christmas, then you get your Christmas back. That is in the bill. So it's the same type of time that you get back. They took your holiday, they lose theirs next time. And then because it goes on a rotating schedule, you actually have 2 Christmases in a row or 2 Thanksgivings or whatever else. So it makes it to where they're like, okay, you know what? It's false. So it makes it where you don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, it's funny because we have the data that 70 to 80% of all allegations, especially made during a divorce, are 100% patently false. I mean, embarrassingly false. Not there's some truth. No, 100% false. But yeah, and I get if one, the Me Too, the believe all people and all that. But no, I mean that's a great bill to have. I know that we have that, but then we also have bills being introduced. Here in Texas, and trying to turn it into a Texas show, but we got a lot of bills coming out of Texas, where when there was a TRO or a restraining order offered, we have one legislator, and I'm gonna see if you've read it and if you're gonna smirk by it, but we also have to consider the pets and animals in it, because when a person makes that decision to leave, their pets are impacted, and this bill is going to allow the person that when they do that, they can also take the pets. I don't know if you've had a chance to read that one yet. No. Yeah, that's
that did jog my memory though. So in your court orders that you're getting, and I went through this, I'm gonna have to go through my videos or whatever that I made in the support group, but there's one that actually has in there where we in the court order, you know how policemen say that, oh, it's a civil matter, I can't do anything about it.
All right. Yeah.
So we actually have in there language that you can put into your court order that says, here's your schedule, and it actually has in there, that the penalty for, if you're not doing this, that you could be violating the court order, that you can go to jail for this, whatever. But in there, in that paragraph, we also put in another paragraph that said, notice to law enforcement, you can enforce this order. Like, because that little language that you put in there, you can maybe skip all of this circus that's going on if you would just have your attorney put in that language. Whether it's enforceable, who knows? If they're going to follow it, doesn't matter. But at least when they say it's a civil matter, say, look, it says right here, notice to police officer. You're a police officer, right? It says you can enforce this order. And if your ex agrees to it, bam. Like, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, actually, in my divorce decree, again, doing that work, that type of language is in mine for custody and different pieces there. So yeah, and that goes back to your attorney, either on accident or on purpose, is not going to put certain language in there. And I wish I could, I had a bullet point and it's drafted somewhere of all the things I wish I would have thought of back then, like. When you do your decree, how do you handle cars? Be it when the kid's 16 years old and gets a car and starts, that natural progression. Who's going to maintain the insurance? Who's it going to be licensed by? Who, those different things. Because even if one parent buys it or doesn't buy it, they're not 18, so they legally can't own a vehicle. Well, if one parent has that title in their name, then they have the ability to do whatever. And then if you I had to work around that for mine, but I had it to where my son, it was titled in my name, but he could not drive or allow his mother to be in the vehicle because I was in fear of. I think we talked about this at some previous point.
Something in there, or trackers or whatever, right?
Couldn't do trackers. Couldn't get in the car because I was afraid she would cause an accident and then get me sued and all that. That was, again, chess, not checkers. But it should have language in divorce decrees or in custody agreements that has things like that, because they're natural. But these attorneys, either they don't want to do it because they want you coming back to fight about it.
Yep.
And that's just one of those, kind of are you kidding moments. I wanted to also point out another thing. I'm going to throw a little shade on Eric. In this entire, we've been on for almost an hour and 40 minutes, which has been awesome. We're just having a blast here, but there's been no hiccups. I almost want to do and let it freeze for a while, Hope Eric is actually watching, throw a little shade his way. Because normally his feed will freeze up because, his internet will goof up or whatever. But so far there's been no issues.
He doesn't have the expensive internet.
He doesn't have the expensive internet. No, well, he actually where his studio is actually a decent distance, and he's got repeater. Yeah, kind of the setup. So he's got to pay to get that upgraded.
So Larry said that his orders say that, and that the judge put it in there. So apparently that the judge knew that his ex was that type of person, that he put it in there. Now,
the judge
put it in there, and the cops didn't enforce it. What you have to do, again, I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to go through this because I say this all the time because there's someone that always has to hear it. When you get temporary orders are your final orders unless you go to final trial or you have a court date that dissolves those temporary orders. So when they say temporary, it is final orders is what that is. Until you file to dissolve those temporary orders, you have to if you get temporary orders, make sure you have another court date. If you don't, those are your final orders. Now, if the judge put that in there, even though that they violate it, that doesn't mean that they automatically go to jail or whatever it is. You have to file a motion for enforcement. So if they violate it, and I'm telling you, every time they do it, you better nip it in the butt, even though it's going to cost you. I wish I would have done this earlier. I didn't. I waited until I got 5 or 6 of them. A lot of attorneys will say that too. Do not wait. The first time they violate that court order, if you know that they're combative or anything else, file a motion for enforcement, because if you don't, then they'll just they're going to let me get away with it. They're going to keep doing it. Because then even if you file, it'll still take you a month or 2 to get into court to even argue about that day that you lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was remembering on the pissoffparent.com, not wanting to plug my own site, but the information is there. I don't think it's anywhere else. But this is actually language I think you were referencing about. Notice any peace officer in the state of Texas who may use reasonable efforts to enforce the terms of child custody specified in the order. This is the language. If you go to pissedoffparent.com under custody interference, you can find that if you're going through your own case. You can grab that and make sure your attorney has this and can draft it according to their state, county, whatever guidelines. But this is, again, one of those where you've got to really push your attorney and know their job better than them to a certain degree, because they're not going to. Because if they leave this out and they go, hey, well, when they violate it 3 or 4 times, they're going to call me back. I'm going to put them, get another $3,000 fighting this thing or whatever. But here's the language here that you can get put in, again, having it modified for your specific area, or go.
We're not an attorney. This is a suggestion.
These, we're not lawyers. We're not. I was going to say we're not fashion people, but you are. I'm not. We're not health people. I'm not a health guy. All the things I'm not. But these are things. This is stuff where you need to do the research and have a consultation with an attorney as you're going through the process, but not rely on them to do the job, because they're going to forget to do certain things. Going down that custody interference kind of path we were kind of going down. In here, I actually have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step process, with the first one being remain calm, and that's the big one. And then in Texas, you can actually download for free an enforcement kit, which has information. And then you contact the police department, tells you what you're supposed to file. If they refuse, how you go through that process, do the visitation journal, and then you send the notice. These are the steps in Texas that you would take. Other states are going to be similar, we'll assume. But this is, just some information on the site that can help you in that. And there's, of course, other stuff out there as well. But the bigger point is that your attorney you're not going to pay your attorney a bunch of money and then they're going to just get it all figured out for you. You're going to have to do things to make them do their job. And they're going to, I'm sorry, I'm old, I'm cynical. They're going to try to confuse everything to get as much money out of you as possible. Right. In my personal opinion, that's the goal, is to spend as much money as possible.
They're not going to want to nip it in the butt immediately. Yeah. And they can. So I see Andrew says, is that the same as contempt of court? No. Yeah. So your motion for enforcement is to show that they violated the decree, and then it becomes contempt of court that the judge sees. So then he holds them in contempt, right? So he fines them, gets you to pay your attorney's fees or whatever else. So they may be violating the decree, but it's not contempt until the judge finds that they did do that. So, it's kind of hard to not. What are they going to say? I showed up when you didn't. No. So.
Yeah, and the enforcement kit and that download you can get, again, for free. And again, this is also for our state, it's texasfamilyhelp.org or something like that. It's a free site in Texas. I don't want to say every state, but a lot of states have free sites like this where you can download and have access to various pieces of information. It should all be out there. I need to probably do one for all 50 states, but you can go to that site. I just got quick links. You're not having to dig through all the other stuff, but it walks you through all the common sense things to do. Like when you show up, go to a 7-Eleven and get a soda, and get the receipt so it's timestamped. Have an offense report in Texas, maybe different than other states. Have the police officer come on. He's going to 99% of the time he's going to tell you it's a civil issue. I don't care. File. So when you go back to court, make the report, because when you go back to court to file for enforcement and do that intermediary step, the judge is going to ask for this information, and you're going to say, "Oh, these 5 times, or the 5 times," and don't do it after the first time. I'm sorry to be a jerk about that. You're not going to get, like for custody interference, a 1 time and that's going to be it. It's got to be a pattern. 5 times, 3 times, whatever that feeling number is to you, to where it's going to make sense. You go back to court, and Robert, you may agree or disagree. I'm just kind of like, look, if it happened 1 time. And they're going to have an extenuating, my car ran out of gas or whatever, the judge is going to let them off the hook. You show 5, you're going to have a little more stink in the game on that one.
So you know what's going on with your ex. So if you know that this is going to be a pattern of that they're going to beat you over the head with this all the time, or do this and stuff all over you, then yes, do it the first time. But or wait 2 or 3 times, like DeWayne said, if they sit there and say, well, I ran out of gas, I this or I that, then it's different. So my thanks, honey.
Your assistant?
Yeah, my daughter brought me Bluebell ice cream with Italian cream, Italian ice cream cake. So, yeah.
I think it's real. Looks like we got let's see, Ricardo. Let's see if I can hit the button there. Ricardo. Oh God, I'm so horrible with names. I apologize. There we go. $5. Thank you so much for the support. Again, all of it goes, everything gets funneled back in to keep the show going, to do all kinds of things behind the scenes. Some we can talk about, some we can. Actually, I've got some exciting stuff that'll be happening that again for Dag Talk today. Different things. Whoa, we got another one. Whoa. I'm gonna have to.
Ricardo got it.
Let me stretch out here. Yeah.
All right. What kind of dance? You know what?
I don't know.
If I put music on, we'll like.
That's about it.
Oh, the sprinkler.
That's got the lawnmower.
Yeah. No, we can. I don't even know.
I can't do any Shakira stuff. These hips aren't made for Shakira anymore. Can't do it. I can do the box stuff. I actually, for my wife and I, for our wedding, actually the video's on my website down in the, you can start over, or you can continue. Actually, I learned to do the box step in a dance move for the wedding. So yeah, we paid a crazy amount of money to have me learn how to dance. I was successful at that. That's about the only dance I can do. So that headbanging.
Wednesday dance. I don't even know. You can do Thriller.
Oh, the Wednesday dance. Yeah.
That's kind of like a Thriller thing, right? Yeah.
That's Thriller. Yeah. Thriller. I don't know.
I don't even know. I mean, I can salsa dance here. I'll show you how to salsa.
Oh, there. Okay. You know what? Thank God someone's going to do it because I won't.
Because Ricardo paid like so much money. And I'm glad that I actually have, like I wasn't like,
right. Drawers there.
Pajamas or something. So everybody knows how to salsa dance. There's basic steps. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And then you can kind of cross body lead. But anyway, you can salsa dance. So $5 gets you a salsa dance. All right. Ta-da. Thank you, Ricardo, for that embarrassing moment. And you got to twerk. Mike, who said Mike? You got to twerk. You twerk.
I think someone's actually. How do you? I think isn't it like a or whatever? I have no idea.
Bunny hop. You gotta shake your butt.
But you gotta shake your butt. No, yeah. I shake my butt. I'm already winded. Actually, Larry is screen recording, so we don't know where this video is going to end up.
Right, it's like they're over there dancing on Dad Talk. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, somebody's coming in to get some advice, and this is we got to keep things light because we do go into some dark areas, and we've got to we
got to make it fun.
We got to. I mean, talking about different things. I know, areas want to talk about, testosterone and prostate exam. I don't know how those two fit together, but sure. Working on cars, all kinds of stuff. Let's see. Oh, someone just said I might throw my back out. I think I already did, actually. I'll be on the heating pad later. Oh, we got people screen recording now. This is going to be something. I think you have to have a butt to be able to shake it. Yeah. That's that is true. Back in the 80s, I could I had the parachute pants and I headbanged, but I could do the worm. I don't know, I do all that stuff that I can't do. I used to be in martial arts, so I was able to. I a lot more flexible. I could, it's hard to. My wife doesn't believe this. Brittany does not believe it at all. But I used to be able to do the splits like Jean-Claude. Well, not as good as Jean-Claude Van Damme. I could go down to the floor. I couldn't do the inverted. I wasn't there, but
I used to be able to do the splits. I used to get 2 chairs and scoot them across.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't that brave because
high school was about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
High school,
we just kind of went down there. Well, I did a lot of karate and taekwondo and stuff through the years. I kind of got back into it in my late 30s and early 40s, and then by when I couldn't do the jumping roundhouse, my hip wouldn't roll over anymore. I was like, I'm done. I couldn't advance anymore because you have to pass that part in order to, oh boy, now we're getting
another $5. What kind of dance are you gonna do now, DeWayne?
Yeah, I know we're getting.
Do not accept worm.
We need you around here. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if I do the worm, well, I can do half of the worm. I can go down on the ground, but I can't get back up. I'm at that age now where now that was one of the things when I was a kid, I'd see people fall down and they couldn't get back up, and I'm like, I get it now. Because like I go down and I sit down or lay down and I'm like, it takes me 5 minutes to get back up anymore. It's old ages, and you're almost there, but you're obviously in better health than me.
So I used to break dance, and I have a white shirt on, so I don't want to wipe the floor, but I could do like a spin. You know what I'm talking about? Like
the head spin,
a windmill almost. Well, I could do a head spin, but like a windmill. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But I don't think I have enough room in here. But
I'm on carpet and I don't want to start a fire with all this hot. if I start doing that, it's gonna be flame shooting out. This is gonna be bad all the way around.
Yeah, I don't think you can even see me. Yeah, another type of dance. Let's see here.
Let's see. Oh, we got. You know what? I think the public wants this. We got Mr. Williams here with $5. Woo! Thanks,
wow.
Sir. All right. Well, we got
all right. So another one. So that is so I just showed you salsa. So there's another one. There's a cha-cha. So
cha-cha. All right.
Yeah. So you go 2, 3, cha-cha-cha. 2, 3, cha-cha-cha. 2, 3, cha-cha-cha.
Moves like Jagger here.
That's right. So that's cha-cha.
That's the cha-cha.
Another one is bachata. Oh, bachata is amazing. So I'll save that one for whatever. For the next one. Yeah, I don't want to throw all of them out there.
Things there.
Yeah. I mean, where's the other dance at? What kind of dance are you gonna do?
I see. The thing is, I don't have a repertoire. I've got heavy metal, the slam dancing and the headbang, which I can't do anymore because my neck's all. Well, I can do the I still got
do the way. Let's see. Wait, if I go,
all right, let's see.
This way.
That. All right,
this way. Yeah, there you go. Other hand. Yeah, there you go. See, look, I'm gonna connect you. There.
The other. Yeah, there we go. We're doing.
I
got it all. I can do the strike a pose and all that. I can do those things.
Yeah.
And you know what? We got to have fun on this thing. Actually, I think we got some more viewers. I think we're going, what the hell are these people doing?
Right.
Let's see. Todd got knocked down, but he gets up again. Oh, we're going to start doing the. Walk like an Egyptian or Vogue. Well, actually, I think I already did the Vogue one. The thing. Oh man, I'm gonna talk to the guys. Well, maybe the girls too. I mean, who knows? But the guys, the one lead singer, when she does the thing with her eyes in the Egyptian walk like an Egyptian video,
she was gorgeous. That was like one of my favorite videos.
I'm sitting there and I just go, I love her. I don't know what was going on, but
yeah,
I was just like, holy moly, that I gotta have that look. But walk like an Egyptian, and we had all kinds of stuff. Then you got what about what's the one? Oh boy, I'm gonna have to pull. Maybe we'll do the minimum. Oh, now we're going back to that. But the thing where you do the leg. Oh God.
You know what? It's Kid and Play where they did the leg thing, and then you could jump over your leg.
Yeah, not happening. I'm on the second floor, so if I were to do that, I would fall through, and my legs. You gonna try this? Someone have 911 on the.
Yeah. If I fall on my head, this is live, right?
Oh boy, this is live. Oh boy. Maybe we need to get a. Oh my God. Holy crap, he did it. Your kids are probably like, what?
If I fell on my head, that would have been really bad.
Wow. Okay. So I think we've done do Kung Fu fight. I think we've done the dance thing. We got that out. We got to get Eric to do it when he gets back. Let's see. Oh, Ricardo's asking me to my Transformer mask. Have all kinds of fun there. We did I don't know if you had a chance to watch, but I got my Optimus Prime mask and it does some pre-selected audio. And so
You
Aaron
should
interviewed.
You should finish out the show with, just Optimus Prime and sit here and talk, and people are gonna be like, "What is going on with those
What the
guys?"
heck is going on? I need to grab him, my Megatron, or Soundwave. There's my Soundwave mask. So I've got all that.
Aw,
Tiffany. Yeah.
condolences.
Condolences for the family there. Thank you for spending your Saturday watching us crazy guys
Yeah.
do stuff.
All right.
And then,
Well, we're
yeah,
coming
I
up
was
on
gonna say,
2 hours, so
yeah, we've been going 2 hours, which it's been great. I hope everybody's having fun. Again, like, share for anything at all. Here, a couple of old guys on here dancing, talking about who knows what. But like, share, subscribe, hit the comments, do the stars, Venmo, get a Tumblr. Talk to your friends about these crazy shows. Who's knows what we're gonna have on here? I mean, there's again, it's a variety show, but again, Robert, it's been great spending the time. We're going to be here tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel.
yep. So
Who
we'll be
knows
here
what fun
tomorrow
we'll have
morning.
there?
Who knows what we're going to be doing or what we're going to be talking about? But again, I mean, we're going to try to educate you guys on a lot of the stuff that's going on, current topics of laws and what you can and can't do, or what you can do to get you out of this faster. I'm probably going to have my wife in the support group pretty soon. She's never been on. And so I kind of wanted people to get the other side of being in this, right? So your significant other. So I asked my wife the other day if she would come on to do an interview to kind of show what her thoughts were going through a custody battle. So anyway, so that'll be coming up this week sometime.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Hopefully maybe today, but we'll see how she's feeling. Anyway, well, thanks everybody for joining. Do you know how to end the broadcast?
I believe I know how to end the broadcast. I'm going to try that. Again, everyone, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Tell everyone to join in for at least the last 20 minutes of the show. Thank you, Tiffany. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, hit the ding button, ask your questions in the support group. We've got all kinds of stuff. We're going to have an even funner show tomorrow, but everybody have a great rest of your Saturday. Hug each other, spend some time with people, and do everything you can to make the world a better place. Y'all have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later.
Hey everybody, Eric Carroll here. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Dad Talk Today. While we fight for you, we would ask for you to please help fight for us. Like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you get notifications every time we go live. There's also Super Chats, patreon.com/Dad Talk Today, and other ways you can support our channel. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time.
All right. And I have no idea how to stop. Is it
you hit end broadcast? Oh, you didn't even hit end broadcast. That's funny.